For today's cup of coffee, I suspect youngest kid of having a hairball. He makes these noises and stuff, and yeah. So I actually was going to go down one particular rabbit hole, and oh my God, it was so broad and so deep. It could be possibly a multi-cup. It'd be like a pot of coffee, not just a cup of coffee, but a whole pot. And that was about the Georgia Guidestones. And I found this very interesting website that it just either the person is brilliant or they're just batshit crazy.
Or both.
Or both. It could be. But the way it goes into like gematria and different things like that, so people that do the maths very well, you know. But I'm gonna have to save that one because I was just like, oh my God, I am so overwhelmed that it's not even funny.
I feel that. So
we're gonna talk about tails and horns on humans. On humans.
Yeah, that horn isn't supposed to be in the alien. It just got stuck there.
We made our own.
Funny.
We made our own. Like I said, plus the tribute to Wendy O. Williams. Those who know will know.
If you know, you know.
Gen Xers, where are you? Anyhow, this one is going to come from Grow WebMD, which is actually part of their site that is for people that are pregnant. Which is kind of horrifying, especially if it's the first child. Do not tell first-time mothers while they're pregnant every horror story out there because they're freaked out enough.
Yeah. Don't freak them out even more.
To add to this, in other words, if you're pregnant, stay off the internet.
Yeah,
seriously. Since when a human grows a tail, it's known as a human vestigial tail.
Wasn't there some sort of person who actually still had a tail and like they could make the tip flip a little bit?
There are people that I'm getting to that. All right, it says many believe that human ancestors used to have a form of a tail and that over time, of course, evolution, what would have been the point of a human ever needing a tail?
Balance.
Not sure about that because it's usually bipedals, the ones that are primarily bipedal. They ain't no need for them. Like they ain't no need for them.
Are you sure? Because some people struggle to stand on both their feet.
That's why we have toes. That's why we have toes.
Some people struggle to stand up and stay standing up with their toes.
Anyhow, it says that
all their toes.
Most humans grow a tail in the womb. I like that. Most. So that means there are those who do not. So, which disappears by 8 weeks. It says the embryonic tail usually grows into the coccyx or the tailbone.
Almost like tadpoles in a way?
Sort of. I mean, the coccyx is it really is this little tiny tailbone. It's this little piece that is off of the sacrum. The sacrum is that broad part that the pelvis and stuff attaches to. And then there at the very end, you've got the coccyx. And believe it or not, you can break that. I have known people that broke their ass.
Yes.
And they say it's a very painful thing.
I broke my butt.
Yeah, really.
I broke my butt.
Okay, so sometimes the embryonic tail doesn't disappear and the baby's born with it.
Okay.
And it says this is a true human tail. It says growing a true human tail is extremely rare. Sometimes when babies are born, their parents might think they have a true tail when actually they don't. This is called a pseudo tail. And pseudotails are usually a symptom of an irregular coccyx or of spina bifida.
You might want to look behind you.
God love
Look
it.
at the little face.
I
He's
see
just went
that.
all derp.
And anyhow, this is as opposed to the remnant of the embryonic tail from the wound. And spina bifida is a very, very serious condition.
Yeah.
And those children usually need lots of surgery. And it's just, like I said, it's a very, very serious condition. They emphasize this again, that true human tails are exceedingly rare. They're often referred to as archaic or even as oddities because of their rarity. Well, yeah, I mean, it ain't just every day. They'd have to design pants differently, wouldn't they?
Yeah, very much so.
It'd be it'd be a whole line of clothing that is not in existence.
Here you go, tail warmers.
Yeah, and it says that they are found twice as often in males as they are in females, and this is not a hereditary condition. It's just something that
It's just a weird birth defect.
Can sort of kind of happen. Is it a defect or is it just, an added feature? It depends on how you look at it.
Defect.
And it says
He's got a birth abnormality.
Some scientists have recently speculated that vestigial tails are linked with abnormalities in the spinal cord and column. And these scientists see the vestigial tails as part of, it's called a tethered spinal cord. So that is an abnormality, and that can be a serious thing. Whether human tails are the remains of a bygone era or a signal of spinal irregularity, there's not much you can do to avoid having one. Well, shit. This is something
surgically removed.
I am glad that I did not know about this being a thing while I was, carrying you or your brother.
You're like, your
brother
grow a tail.
I could see your brother having a tail. I really can. It would work for him. Man.
I doubt that.
And it says, what are human tails made of? And some common characteristics are that they contain muscles, connective tissue, blood vessels, and nerves. They are always covered with skin and located on the tailbone. They can be as long as 13 centimeters. Sometimes they can even move or contract.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Just like actual tails, like actual cat
It says that
such.
Human tails do not contain bone, cartilage, or the spinal cord.
Okay.
So cats' tails, they actually do have bone and stuff in there.
Right, so it's basically just a fleshy bit that can move somewhat.
Yeah, you couldn't be going around wagging your tail. Or could you? I don't know. That'd be cool. How do you remove a human tail? Qualified doctors can surgically remove a human tail in a very safe and simple procedure.
They cut my ass!
But during this surgery, the surgeon untethers the outer part of the tail. Because human tails are generally also linked to spinal issues, of course, then that's a different type of surgery if it's got some kind of spinal something.
Right.
And while it's unnecessary to remove human tails for any specific health-related reason, they are often uncomfortable, painful, or otherwise inconvenient to have.
Okay.
Well, it's because you don't have the right kind of clothing.
Yeah.
And it says across the developing world, there have been cases of patients as old as 17 years of age finally revealing to their doctors the tails for the first time because that the tails have begun to cause them some kind of pain. Probably chafing.
Probably.
And it says some people born with tails keep their tails for many years, while some parents opt to remove the baby's tail at birth. In some cases, it's not entirely apparent that the tail is a true tail until years later. Now, you know what? I think that's one of those that it should be left alone until the child is old enough to decide whether or not it wants a tail.
Yeah.
In our world today, when you letting children make all these decisions, why not?
You got a point there.
And it says, in some parts of the world, human tails are largely stigmatized, and babies born with human tails are considered to be social outcasts.
Really?
And it says that this could be one of the reasons that some people might avoid seeing a doctor about having a tail.
What?
It says in other societies, such as parts of India, tails are considered to be blessings or gifts from the gods. And there's one thing about India, that they have this wonderful attitude of children that are born differently. They view them as being blessed.
Yep.
Kudos for India.
Yep.
You know, that's just a cool thing.
They good people.
Now, there is a research paper that is called Spectrum of Human Tails, a report of 6 cases. And I
Okay.
will include this link because it has pictures. And, you know, the human tails are
Y'all
not
love pictures.
as we would think of them as being. So I could see why people would want them to be removed. And because that they had given permission to the research paper to use the photographs, that's the reason I didn't know if there would be some kind of copyright or HIPAA something, even though it's on the internet. So you'll have to go look them up for yourself. But that was the reason I thought, I do not need some kind of legal something on this. Now, the next thing we're going to be discussing is that horns are now growing on human skulls.
Now?
Yes. And that's because of phone use. Scientists say researchers are warning of a new side effect of constant cell phone use. And this is from the website Health, and is written by Maggie O'Neill, and she had updated it June 20th of 2019. And she says a new study suggests that our skeletons are adapting to our handheld device obsession. And that's because it's helping us to adjust a position that most of us are in lots during the day, which is phone in hand, head bent forward. Okay, and researchers from Australia say cell phones might be the reason young adults are developing enlarged external occipital protuberance. So that is EEOP.
Occipital protuberance. What
Yes.
is that?
It's horn.
But where does it grow?
I'm waiting.
It's like on your forehead. Like I want
getting there.
I would like those 2 little cute horns.
Those you have to have implanted. That's a different thing. You have to pay that for yourself.
I'll do it.
The occipital bone is the main bone and the lower part of the skull. And what scientists are saying is that our bodies are adjusting to worsening posture by growing a horn-like spike at the base of our skulls to relieve pressure induced by hours spent hunched over phones. Researchers wanted to know how prevalent this adaptation may be. And it says overall, 33% of 1,200 men and women ages 18 to 86 were in this study they did exhibit EEOP. So I'm not out of the woods.
We don't have that.
The researchers' conclusions were published in the journal Scientific Reports in December of 2018. And I did find that, and it does have an x-ray. So, you know, you can go and you can look at this.
Horn at the back of the head. What does it look like?
Well, you can go to the link in the description box and see for yourself.
Oh, what? You couldn't have printed out pictures on that little script of yours?
Yeah, researchers relied on participants who had previously sought help from a chiropractor. So obviously this condition is causing problems.
Well, yeah.
So a new report cites previously published survey results in a population of Canadian university students, faculty, and staff. And the survey found that participants spend an average of 4.65 hours a day on a handheld device. 68% of participating students reported having neck pain.
No shit.
And researchers wrote, quote, "We hypothesize that the use of modern technologies and handheld devices may be primarily responsible for these postures and subsequent development of adaptive, robust cranial features in our sample," end quote. And they emphasize that the prevalence of EEOP among young people might not be good news for the ways of our skeleton and muscular systems work. Our findings raise a concern about the future musculoskeletal health of young populations and reinforce the need for preventative intervention through posture education, the report says. And it says the authors caution that poor health and disability due to musculoskeletal disorders impose increasing physical, social, and financial burdens on individuals and societies. So therefore, they're afraid that the government's afraid and taxpayers are afraid that if you look at your cell phone too much, you develop a horn, that you're going to be a burden on the state. That's what it's about. They don't give a damn about you having a horn.
That's fucked up.
Anyhow, it says... They don't say, however, what specific preventative measures should be put in place. How about put the damn thing down every now and then?
Yeah.
And
go back to a flip phone.
This scientific report, like I said, is the prominent exostosis projecting from the occipital squama more substantial and prevalent in young adult than older age groups.
Latin.
What?
You're over there speaking Latin.
Absolutely.
I have no idea what that...
Horns and tails.
Yeah. Okay.
It depends on what the horns look like and where the horns are. And it depends on the tails.
I want those two cute little horns sticking out of the front of your head.
Well, like I said,
like
I think that you have to pay for those. That those are stainless steel somethings. There have been people that have
steel
those.
ones. I want ones that look like actual horns.
I think they can actually do that. I mean, but
I'd be totally down to get that procedure.
I mean, they couldn't be like too pointy, or they go through your skin.
That's the whole point. Like, you'd want them growing out.
No. I mean, you have to have them as far as the skin. As far as I know. I don't know that they can implant that into bone at this point. And if they did, I would say that it would probably be price E.
I'm willing to sell my ass on the streets for that procedure.
No. And then you'd have to worry about going through a metal detector. What if they would expect you to screw them out of your skull to go through a metal detector?
Like, sorry, dude, I can't do that for you. These are implanted in my head.
You'd have to go through with a list that said it's a medical thing everywhere.
That was like that dude that now has to identify as a cyborg because he has this little antenna on the back of his head that comes up to the front and it detects color for
Was he the
him.
one that was blind or whatever?
Colorblind.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know that there...
And he's an artist.
Yeah, that there were several people that, as far as the technologies and stuff, had been very helpful for them.
But they asked him to... Some security thing asked him to remove it, and he's like, I'm sorry, this is implanted into my skull.
It's in his brain.
I cannot take this out.
You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if you had one of these gung-ho young rent-a-cops that would try to remove that.
And then kill the person.
Yeah. Or totally screw up their brain or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it was literally implanted into his head, and it gave off these weird sounds to him, or vibrations, and he could like feel the colors and hear them. Yeah.
What is that? Synesthesia?
Synesthesia, except it has to be artificially put in, because it was literally like, you know those anglerfish with the weird antenna? That's what it looked like.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It came from like the back of his head, like right here, and came up to the front.
Right.
And right out, like basically right at his forehead.
Never assume.
Little antenna.
Never assume something is a fashion statement. You never know these days.
But no joke, people has come up to him and be like, please do not record me with that camera that is on your head. And it's like, this is not a camera. There's no sound that comes through this as far as people. It's not a microphone. It's not a camera. It's a way for me to detect color.
I think that he could actually make money from that. He could have a little sign. He's a little sign that says, "Eat at Joe's, rent space here," whatever, you know.
Yes.
So the world
But
with the
it's caught him
cyborgs.
media attention before, and I'm proud of him for that.
Oh, I think it's cool. That's like the one guy that he rides a bicycle using echolocation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really cool too.
I think it's cool. I think that there's a lot of ways that people who do have differences can learn to overcome those. Now, the tail is an optional thing.
Yeah.
But now, the spina bifida, God love them, because, I didn't go into detail as far as what that is about.
There was someone that actually had like a tail implanted on them. Yeah.
Okay.
And they could like twitch it slightly. They got to a point where they could sort of twitch the end of it.
Implanted where? What kind of material
It's a
was
tail
it?
on
At
his
what
head.
point?
I don't know.
At what point did
It was
get...
made out of bone and muscle. It was.
What did they take that from?
I think they took it from a cat or something like that.
Trans species?
I don't know.
I don't think that that's possible.
I don't think it is.
I
either,
think that
but
would be
somehow
like
they did
tissue
it.
rejection on that.
I don't know.
So that's...
I don't know.
I'll have to look that. Did you verify that
No,
story?
I didn't verify it. I heard it from one of my friends.
Oh my
But
God.
they were being dead serious about it too.
Probably the closest thing genetically is not monkeys. It's pigs. Seriously, that's the reason that they can use like
Well, they
heart
got
valves
something
from
attached to
pigs
it.
without having the rejection and stuff like
They
that.
got something implanted on
So
them.
maybe he had one of those little corkscrew pig butt tails.
Pigtail. Oh, what was that character from Harry Potter that got that Hagrid zapped to put the pigtail on?
Oh, I know, that was his cousin,
Yes.
whatever his name was. He was an asshole.
Yes, and he deserved.
He did. He did. So if you are considering growing horns,
I'm this close to getting
If you're
actual metal horns implanted. I would like that.
if you're already an adult, you've already missed your chance to have a tail, unless you do have some kind of an implant or something like that.
So sad.
But now, like I said, when you see the pictures and what the tails look like, you're like, yeah, damn, I'd have that cut off too. For real.
Okay.
So,
This weird little fleshy tadpole.
and it's
tadpole looking ass.
most of them are rather obscene looking. That's another reason I wasn't very interested in showing these here.
Okay.
So that's
Dick tail.
that's it.
Instead of ducktails, it's dicktails.
I didn't say that. I tried to avoid that. I mean, as blunt as I am, I do have enough. Oh my God, I have enough control to know when and where to say certain things.
Dicktails.
Anyhow, go look at these things for yourself. So we've triggered the sophomoric humor that's like Spencer's. Spencer's used to be cool.
I like Spencer's.
Anyhow, that's going to be it for this cup. I will. The Georgia Guidestones thing is really interesting, but I may wait until the beginning of next week to do that, because that can run into more than one episode.
Yes.
And that website, it's just, they're either brilliant or crazy or both. There's a fine line. I'm wondering if it's not one of those Ted Kaczynski type things.
Could be.
So, I'm a fan of Ted. I felt sorry for Ted. Somebody told me that you could write Ted and he'd write you back.
You should try that.
I might do that someday. Seriously. I'd say he gets lots of mail.
Who knows? Maybe.
He's pitiful. MK Ultra ruined that kid. If you've had experiences with paranormal, supernatural encounters, UFOs, aliens, cryptids, people who have horns and or a tail, not necessarily simultaneously, if you've got
One or the other.
local, regional, family, myths, legends, you can give us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. And we appreciate you having coffee with us, taking a few minutes, hopefully sharing a laugh with us. Know that you're very loved.
Yes. We appreciate every single one of you.
Absolutely, and we wish you a beautiful, blessed day, and we'll see you on the next cup.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and most of all, subscribe.
Bye.
And clean the litter box.
Oh, no.
Your cats are scratching in there.
Oh,
Bye.